so good. However, Clicks and team already on the move, looking very strong here. Meanwhile, Jacko and Rise, the first to the punch right now, already set up. Peterbot and Cold kind of split up right now. Cold left to play for the game by himself at this moment. Can he get back to Peterbot here and get control of the kind of situation here? New zone reveals itself. Back to the bridge it goes. This is an incredible end game right now.
I feel like they can go straight back up to the spot they were at before on top of the bridge. So far away from anybody else. I don't even think there's a chance you can one orb to the top of that without just a little bit of elevation, and that's exactly what they're looking for. Everybody else down below has to go through the raging waters that you were talking about, expending a lot more materials, which means that somebody sooner or later is going to have to get a refresh that they need in order to keep alive. Ager's Pollo Acorn, not at this moment, but barely 91 above the damage threshold, so it's not going to be easy for them either.
Well, this is the team that's been the most consistent, so we'll see what they can do. What a difficult end game to play right now. A very unique zone here. Peterbot, Cold still working as a two-man team. So far, so good. But now the zone pressure starting to come. Void Onimask start to come out. They don't even have time to really look up and angle it correctly. They just are trying to get to the safe zone. Meanwhile, Jack Muzz and they just want the high ground here, right? Rise, they want to get back to their position, get back to these old builds, and look, secure as ever up top. They'll just be able to ride this end game out right now, but one thing's for certain, they're running out of material.
Uh-oh, first place looking like they're getting ripped apart. Acorn's down, Pollo's out, Ager's getting pressured by himself. This is a perfect opportunity for them to close the gap on that leaderboard, but it's up to Ager's for a solo clutch to keep them in contention of that top spot. Finds one, big shot, but not able to get the elimination. Ager's looking for more. Storm Surger's not a worry, it's just him being by himself.
The NA region knows Agers is one of the best when it comes down to box fighting. Do not count him out right now. Peterbot, though, is the last alive as Cold falls on the rotate here. It's not looking good. He's out of material. Are the best falling now short in this last game here. Peterbot, though, has to figure something out. Still no chance for an elimination just yet. But also the lobby so distracted. Everyone focused on the rotates here. The Void Onimask still in the hand here. This is a chance for Peterbot to find one, but no. There it is. Some mats finally picked up now. Up he goes with the Void Onimask. That's a wall that you couldn't climb if he wanted to, but no. Finally, he falls in a short game for him. And the best of the best struggling now, but Japco, Muzz, and Rise are here to take advantage.
I don't think anybody would have guessed the games to go the way that they're going right now. Booga Threats of Eve still trying to make some plays from down below. Find a big elimination, keeping them alive. That's her second one of the game so far. But Threats need some help. They gotta have his back. The pressure could come at any second, but at least he's getting the time that he needs to heal. Make it through the zone. Top 9 teams left in the game, and not all of them are feeling this smooth.
Keep in mind, there's no multiplier. How you perform today is going to determine everything for your weekend right now. Will you be able to send yourself to the Global Championship is really up for grabs right now, but the finals is up for stakes as well. Meanwhile, Kanata, Rapid looking pretty decent. They have control of the medallion. We already saw what Peterbot could do with it. You have unlimited sprint. You can't be seen. It's just so powerful in the right hands. And Kanata, one of the fastest here to use it. Obviously, you can see him going ahead and getting to work now. He's going to find Okis. The Siphon starts to come in. More material for him now. He gets to work with that.
Gonna strap yourselves in because it looks like we're going for a wild ride. One elimination, but Spill's sprinting around. He finally gets found out of builds, cannot protect himself. He's gonna get dropped. Muzz, Yapko, they drop down from above. They're trying to take the fight while they have the advantage. 3v2 situation. It's visuals. It's Braids underneath the duo that's trying to hold strong. Zone after zone, they're rotating towards the north. They don't have the upper hand, but this is their chance to really shock the crowd.
Visual Braids and Diminish have continued to put out great performances, but Muzz, Japco, and Rise have just looked better, and Muzz secures another victory on the big stage here, and he does it in great fashion, and just like that, it looks like the leaderboards will be potentially changing now as Rise, Japco, and Muzz, one of the most decorated teams on the NA region right now, put up a great performance.
And this is just another one of those teams, Monster. Everybody's questioning roster changes. Why did you go with him? Why did you go with who? This is the moment for them to prove that this roster change is worth it. And the international team, the global sensations, not only second in consistency, they They win the third game of the day and really cause some commotion to that leaderboard. And as soon as they were able to get the high ground, there was no looking back. From that bridge at Shattered Span to the mountains over across, they are now first place.
So I'm going to say what everyone's thinking. You know, Muzz, you're not OC anymore. You're just NA. We're just going to go ahead and adopt you right into the fold here. You've been competing on NA for way too long. He is representing so well as he continues to pop up. And look at Japco work there, too. Really setting up the critical eliminations there so Muzz can go ahead and win the game. What a victory royale. Game 3 is wraps. And now we get to send on over to Zeke.
Gods can bleed. I cannot believe it. Mr. Worldwide's plural. They come out with a victory royale. And man, this lead, when y'all see these standings later on, are going to shock you. I did not think that we would develop leads like this, but because of that victory royale, this is why they're so important, Kelly, right? Pairing this up with eliminations, consistency. Now, Muzz is ahead of the pack. I don't even know. We're going back and forth, boys. We're going back and forth.
I mean, speaking of going back and forth, that zone was just disastrous for so much of the lobby, but it was exactly what Muzz, Yapko, and Rise wanted, having that Shattered Span zone, then going into the water, then going back to the bridge, just gave them such control over high ground. Pretty much everyone else was just using their mobility to be able to reverse the end game here. But of course, Yapko, Muzz, Rise took advantage of that, were able to grab a ton of eliminations. And I love, of course, the play dropping down low, trying to grab more refreshes, trying to grab some mats and everything so that they can continue controlling.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this entire game was all about. Just control, like Kelly mentioned right there. A lot of our top teams as well couldn't control the rest of the lobby. They went down. So this is a huge opportunity for Muzz, Rise, and Yapko to kind of boost themselves up the leaderboard. Incredibly well played from this trio. I mean, a zone landing right over by where they land early on in the game. That's how you take full advantage of it. Love to see that from this trio.
Man, that was my zone, by the way. I designed that myself. You guys are welcome.
Oh.
You're welcome. I did that.
Thanks,
That's me.
Zeke.
Good writing.
That is crazy. With that being said, that is game number 3. We still have so much more to break down, but first, a short break. When we return, more action here from the FNCS. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. We just wrapped up game number 3. In case you missed it, you're tuning in, welcome. You have missed 3 crazy games. Highly recommend you go back and watch them. But Muzz, Yapko, Rise got themselves the victory route in that last game. We just wanted a couple highlight, just really quickly, how they got that victory out. Guys, back in 7th zone, they were just perched on this beautiful spot, overlooking just this amazing shattered span here. The moment the zone pulls away, they have just got to be like, guys, this is ours, right? I mean, there's just no way we don't win this game.
I mean, it seems a bit obvious seeing as how that is their POI, but taking full advantage of it, being able to perch themselves up, be 1,000 damage over Storm is just going to give them so much ability to kind of control, as we said earlier, the end game. And that's exactly what they did right there, being able to rotate that from to the water back to the bridge. It was just smart, standard Fortnite play right there.
No, honestly, I gotta tip my hat to them as well, because usually when sometimes the zone kind of pulls to your POI, it's actually not as easy to get storm search, right? Because you're usually kind of like posted up. Teams try to, you know, avoid you as much as they possibly can because it's very obvious to where you're going to be at. But the fact that they were kind of like 1,000 above right there means that they had something definitely figured out for that zone. So again, well played by them.
Yeah, just so crazy indeed. Let's take a look at the standings. So remember, we have 6 games today, 6 games tomorrow, and then we'll have Major 1 finalist rather. But take a look, guys, this lead after that victory royale, look how far ahead Muzz, Yapko, and Rise are ahead of everyone else. It's just Agers, Acorn, Pollo right behind them. But when we think about like what we came in on, right, like what a lead we have developed. And what's crazy from the other side, right, Agers, Pollo, and Acorn, in that last game, they placed 13th with 1 elim. So for a single moment, they let the foot off the gas, and that was enough for Muzz, Yapko, and Rise to just walk away with that victory royale.
Definitely, but Pollo, Agers, and Acorn are not going to be giving it up that easily. And although they did go down in 13th place right there, Agers still had to pull out a solo clutch after Pollo went down right here. And honestly, it's interesting. When Trios first started, a lot of people were talking about how in the end game, once a player goes down, like in duos competition, that's when you're going to have to solo clutch. And we're not going to see that with Trios. That does not seem to be the case for NA finals right now, where it's more likely that instead of it just being 2 players running the end game, it does come down to a solo clutch. And so many of these players in North America have that ability in spades to be able to just kind of run in the back of the lobby and keep their placement points climbing up.
Yeah, definitely working wonders right now for a lot of our teams. The top 5 is also seemingly kind of ironing itself out, point away from the rest of the lobby. Peterbutt, Cold, and Ritual, though. I mean, we said it after last game. We're like, yeah, well, they haven't had a good game yet. Game 3, also not a good game, but I can't lie. For 3 quote-unquote bad games, they're in 3rd place, and I feel like they're still in the conversation, and they're still close enough to 1st and 2nd, where if they just have that good game, that Peterbutt, Cold, and Ritual game, then they'll be up there as well.
It's crazy to look at the leaderboard right now, and it is 160 points between 1st and 10th place.
Wow.
And we're at the halfway point right now for day 1, right? So that's the quarter point for the entire tournament. So tons of games still ahead, tons of opportunities for things to change and everything, but there is definitely a lead shaping up right now for our top 2. But I think anyone in the top 9, where we just saw Vidil, Cooper, and Sphinx jump into our top 10 finally, I think that there's still plenty of opportunities for them over the next 9 games.
For sure, and this is still day 1, right? We'll still have time for the trios to come back, to prepare, to VOD review, to talk to coaches, and come back with a plan for day number 2. So let's not get crazy. No one's sound any alarm bells. Peterbot, we're good though, right? Like, we're good. We just need to have like a good pop-off game, and then we can do that now. You want to do that now? Okay, I'm sorry. I was just talking to someone. Don't worry about that. Anyway, guys, it is that time. We are halfway through day number 1, so let's jump back into the action with Monster D-Face, Jacob PR.
And it happened yet again. We got a new elimination leader that I want to go ahead and talk about. Yapko, after winning that game with the rest of his trio, he's on top with 14 eliminations, almost 4,200 damage throughout these first 3 games. Now we go to the second half of the day. Are you going to be looking for any adjustments from them or anybody else?
Yeah, I think Zeke said it best. He's writing the script here. He's calling in some new plays right now, so we're going to have to see how things are going to shake up. Those first 3 games, just a telltale of what's to come. I think we are still yet to see the best from a team like Peterbot. Even in the start of that last game, they, again, out of the ordinary, fell very early, right? So they just have to get their footing. Let's see it, though, as game number 4 sounds like it's ready.
Throughout the first 3 games of the day today, we've already seen teams making some quick adjustments to their strategy. If you think back in game number 1, you saw how stacked it was in terms of players alive left in the lobby. I think throughout those games, they're getting more and more riskier to take these fights because they realize once you get to 7th, 8th, 9th zone, it's not as easy to get Storm Surge.
Yeah, it really does look like the lobby's starting to settle in, get comfortable, and play to their strengths overall. We do have to, of course, look at game 3 as an outlier. That end game, very unique, very critical, right? Piece of land that Muzz, Japco, and Rise were able to claim first, almost secured the victory royale at that point. So with that in mind, anything can still happen right now, right? I think it just is going to come down to a matter of can you bounce back and keep your mental sharp now as we're in the back half of the tournament here as game number 4 is just starting up.
Contested fight that we've seen all too long. I say semi-contested because throughout the past couple of games, talking about adjustments from game 1, they were kind of fighting all out for it. Last couple of games, slowly but surely taking their time, splitting magic mosses, making sure that they at least have a shot to play some of these games out. And already does look like Osid a full loadout from heals to weapons to his movement. Has what he needs, just kind of going with the rest of his team. But these are a lot of those contested fights that we're seeing today, including Brutal Boxcars.
Brutal Boxcars continues to fight it out here. Nerface, Aaron, and Joji gonna have a bit of a standoff right now, but things are slow and settled here in the lobby. Very actually paced start here to game 4 so far. DJ's gonna be the first to catch some tags right now. Havoc and Sandman have the side angle.
Because this is contested, they can't even take advantage of Brutal Boxcars to its fullest. Because you think back when the Brutal Boxcars first came out, it was Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual landing over here. They're not landed in the POI, but on the outskirts as well. For Nerface, landed some good shots, using the Fire Mask to try to deal just a little bit more damage in that direction. Trying to catch Sandman off guard, but Havoc already moving up the side of the mountain. He's going to be the one looking back, trying to alleviate some pressure if they do take shots in that direction, which they continuously do. Sandman just almost getting eat alive, about 50 HP remaining. Havoc forced to go down the mountain just to save the day.
Nerface still looking for some big openers here. Just a back and forth exchange right now. Nothing major happening here. Meanwhile, Peterbot on the other side. Are they on a fast move right now? It does seem like they're doing something a little bit different. What's going on here? They've got more coverage of the land, but looking to go ahead and group up again.
Yeah, I mean, because of how much space they're commanded, that spot above, there's like a slurp truck over there, 5 or 6 extra chests. They have flooded frogs all to themselves. And you're kind of seeing how spread out they actually are in the early game, just so that way they can loot up, grabbing primarily just the chests. So that way they can try to move as quickly as possible to try to get surge. And already you're seeing a little bit of a different zone, a lot of it appearing on the north side of the map. So we might see a change up of strategy, and you just tune in to Acorn and A, just no Poyo in sight. He's already down, and that's a huge hit to the team early on.
I was curious as to how he was one of the first to fall here, but I mean, the zone kind of played its way on this western side, so sort of makes sense if they touched down first. They were targeted for some reason. We'll keep an update there, but here's Diminished on the hunt right now. What a game for them so far. Sleeper trio, if you want to call it that, right? I don't think anyone had them comfortably inside the top 5, let alone top 3 position, but they're at 188 points. Virgo, Noxy, and Curly have also played spectacular so far. 159 for them here. Teams that are looking to set themselves up for not only a nice paycheck, but keeping themselves in a conversation for a finals win. Do you imagine that?
Yeah, and when you talk about like VOD reviewing from day 1 to day 2, this is a team. If you land on the south side of the map, I would be very, very important to VOD review them, because already we've seen them push multiple different locations after their drop in order to get the storm surge that they need. That's allowing them to play consistent as they are. So if you're gonna VOD review anybody, that's gonna be one. So you tune on Muzz, Yapko, and Rise. Slow game plan for them right out of the gate. Storm Surge isn't necessarily the first priority for them when they drop. It's all about just looting up, because they're on the center of the map for the most part, maybe a little bit towards the east, but that allows them, wherever the zone pulls, north or south, to kind of rotate there quickly. The only side that they're worried about is if it goes all the way towards the west, which typically doesn't happen until 4th or 5th zone.
The Cash Cup King, Muzz, shining on the FNCS stage once again. You love to see it. One of the favorites of the community, I dare say. Japco and Rise complimenting him very well right now. And yeah, we didn't even highlight, this was their drop spot, the Shattered Span. It literally ended right here, and they did exactly what you're supposed to do, win the game.
Zone pulling towards the south. This is just outside Pump Power, Demons Jojo. That's to the south of there. Alfie Possessed Diego plays. They land all the way towards the north. Some of the farthest north pool in the map if it does continue to go south. So they're going to be one of the teams that are hurting when the zone goes south. Struggling to get surge. Having to kind of prioritize what's most important for them on their path there. And it's not going to be easy, because you have to go against teams like Kanata, Bolts, Rapid on your way to the zone.
Yeah, first I thought we were getting a north or maybe like a far west, but this zone's starting to really tug its way back. Diego possessing Ralphie. Overall, have to put up some big numbers right now. And look at this, they're very far behind overall on material counts. They're scrapping this entire place down pretty quickly. It's got the attention of a tree outside. Meanwhile, Cold, Ritual, and Peterbot once again. Ritual just seems to not be able to really catch his footing here. And it's all up to Cold and Peterbot now. This is back-to-back performances now where one of, someone on the trio falls in the early game. And the surge is active, very reminiscent of game number 1.
I'm about to say 91 surge. When was the last time we seen 91 surge in the FNCS finals lobby? And it just goes to show this is how important it actually is. But the third party coming in, Peterbot once again forced to disengage outward, but just a little bit too slow. Cold gets caught on the mix. He gets knocked down, and now Peterbot's left by himself this early in the game. That's a disaster again that I don't think anybody would expect.
This is not good. I would say it's great for the overall story, right? To give Peterbot, Ritual, and Cold something to fight for, given that everyone's concern was like, was the FNCS going to be a steamroll for what is arguably the strongest trio coming into this, the favorites, if you will. But so far, when the finals lobby ended up shaking up and the way things are looking right now, the competition is set out for them, and it seems like NA is not afraid to take on the best. Sonetto, Scare, and Veer back in the game right now. They're going to be using that reboot van. That's going to be one less van now for Peterbot to leverage as well. These little things start to compound, right?
Yeah, just making it that much more difficult. Luckily for them, they can go back to Flooded Frogs itself, continue to move towards the east, and that looks like exactly where Peterbot currently is. You see just a little bit of his arrow in the minimap. They're going to continue to rotate in that direction, mainly because of the loot. If you're going to go anywhere, you go towards a Flooded Frog type POI where you know there's a lot of scraps left behind.
Here's the thing, though. Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual typically leave all the barrels there as well. So with Scare, Sonetto, kind of rotating through there, they're probably naturally just going to check anyways, and they're going to take all that leftover reserve that Peterbot's team typically leaves behind. So this is really bad for Peterbot. If he's going to be banking on picking up his squad and going back to the Flooded Frogs, it's probably going to be scrapped dry, honestly.
And we know who's not going to playing heal off if it does come down to it later in the game. Peterbot's going to have to trust Ritual and Cold if he does get the reboots back. It's in another one of our juggernaut teams in this one. Kanata, Bolts, Rapid, rotating all the way south from that Demon's Dojo. Got to imagine how much surge they do actually have on them because of how much space they're able to get early on. A lot of the teams around their actual position probably rotating early to the zone. But since they're so far ahead of the curve right now, every other team, they're able to kind of look back and see if there's any opportunities that present themselves.
Could have been, but the team's just outside the line of sights now, so off they go. Is this a full team with Typhoons right here as well? Looks pretty sick watching them rotate on foot like that. Ooh, there it is, that trio. It's going to be first attack Kanata here. Not going to break a sweat, though.
Yeah, without some of these zones have been playing, I do like their idea to go straight over towards Seaport City or one of the surrounding mountains. I think if last game has taught us anything, once you see a lot of water in the zone, you got to start preparing and be one of the players to kind of position yourself first. And just across, they do see Muzz on top of that mountain, something that is easy to spot out, but sometimes can be very difficult to fight against.
Muzz, Rise, and Japko, though, playing this ultimate height position here. It worked once. Why wouldn't it work again? Already, though. Seems like not too much traction in action here on the outside right now. Victor V, Chimps, and Skittle up against Visual, Braids, and Aminish now at the pump power. It's a fight that looks like it's going to distance here. Not too much of a fan of this, though. We are getting late into this kind of mid-game here. Visuals playing a bit of a side angle. Wonder what's the play right now. Oh,
The
they're
other
gone.
side, though? Yeah, I think they kind of heard the footsteps and stuff as well for Victor V, Chimp, and Skittles. Just kind of play very, very slow, going back to some hidden loot that they had before when they were fishing. And I do like the decision for both of those teams. Don't take a skirmish this deep into zone, especially when it is pulling toward the south. A lot of them will get stacked up on that side as we tune back into Peterbot, where he's successfully able to get the reboot cards for his teammates, return back to Flooded Frogs, and this is exactly what you were talking about here in this cave.
Look at this, the reserve still left behind there. There are a couple splashes, but can they get the heals to maintain here, sustain, if you will, inside the storm? We know we saw a couple med kits there. Void Oni mask is out, but just looking very worse for wears right now. There goes the heals, and off they go. So, all right, they've managed to kind of bounce back into this one. I mean, it wasn't pretty, but they are alive. That's all that matters. And again, it's crazy to think these are what their bad games look like. Somehow they rebound, somehow they still secure points, and they surely done a good amount of damage, right? At least before things kind of collapse against them.
So the first thing on their mind is Surge when they get in the zone. Sphinx, Cooper, Vidil, as the day has gotten on, you decide to see them progressively getting better and handling their own Storm Surge situation. Right now, they're spread out. Two of them are just right outside Mass Meadows. The other one is towards the north, but Donnie fighting on another side of the map. Cannons crossing just outside their view. They know they have a knock on to Aoxy, and they're just continuously trying to put down pressures. They don't let it go for free. Big shot by Donnie yet again, backing him down, not letting the revive come to fruition. So Aoxy's instantly going to be cleaned up.
Like what I'm watching right now. Oh, nice tag right there. And the Pike's follow-up was good, but not good enough to take down Chance Guru here. His team goes and wraps things up here. Nicely done for Donnie. Putting another number on the map right now. Very well played. Look at that. They get to feast here. They will have to play for the pickup, but the zone bouncing back across now. We're seeing a back-to-back shattered span potentially right now.
Check out the replay. Right off of the respawn, they're immediately going back to work. I said they knew how important Surge was. Ritual making up for going down early, gets the elimination. 466 above the damage threshold. Honestly, I would not have expected them to be that much above the threshold at this stage in the game, considering what we've seen so far with both Ritual and Cold getting rebooted.
You know, I was curious, you know, if Ritual was the weak link here, do we think it's like FNCS finals jitters, right? Or could it just be the luck of the draw? Sometimes things don't exactly go your way.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those questions. It's something I feel like, you know, from day one to day two, even from game to game, they're talking about the adjustments that are kind of needed to make. They see another team in their line of sight, immediately beelining their way on over, interrupting a fight. They're trying to take advantage of it while they can. They break into one wall. They get pieces on the other side. Cold gets a knock onto one and immediately separates him from the rest of his trio.
Another big elimination. Look how quickly they're making it look. How easy they're making it look right now. Cold, Ritual, Peterbot starting to heat up right now. They know that they're not going to have a problem with the damage moving forwards here. It's just a matter of positioning here onwards. Seaport City once again in action here. It's almost reminiscent of the first game here. Let's see what learnings players are going to take into this one here. Void Oni Mask helping them with the big rotates here.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier this game considering compared to last, but Agers, Acorn, they get Poyo back. 298 above the Storm Surge threshold, but that's not going to stop them from going after Seek. They get the elimination onto him, leaving the whole trio down as a duo and immediately make it to zone. But as this one continues to move towards the eastern side of the map, a lot of the teams in this lobby are going to continue to have to rotate along with it.
Good to see Poyo back in the lobby here as well. Just a little concerned if he even made it in for a second there. When we first tuned in, they were down and out, but hasn't set them back. Look at this. They're still very comfortably in the lead with some damage here. And off they go for a big rotate. They're going to be cutting off the rest of the lobby here. One of the first to go ahead and dive in.
It's pretty impressive to actually think about. We're kind of always talking about Poyo, considering he gets in moments like this, able to stay alive, pressure coming in, they overbuild to try to create space, but it was actually Agers who was teaming with Cold and Ritual before Peterbot said, nah, this team's mine, taking it over. So it's great to see them contending above them on the threshold, and they're taking shots out of Yamzo. Clicks and Batman Booga, getting him down, no shield. Yamzo is forced to back up with the rest of the team. They kind of converge, slowly but surely turtle back to try to save themselves. Neither one of these teams are currently in zone. They still got some distance to cover.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, yo, wait, these dudes are not even in zone. They're putting a lot of pressure on this team right now, trying to see if they can force him out here. And this is going to put Clixie, Yamzo, and Batman Booga in a pretty bad situation. We'll see if they've got enough to go ahead and bounce back. Meanwhile, Rapid Bolton, Kanata, the blades out, and it's getting pretty crazy here on the low ground in the Seaport City. It's going to end up working out for Rapid as he finds Braids. One of the combination from Visuals, of course, and a Minish here. Visuals seems to be the only one standing, but not for long, as Bolts cleans up this team here as well, and that's going to be a huge set of points for them right now. These eliminations really starting to add up. It's going to make a difference on the leaderboard as teams are starting to really approach that 200 points threshold here. Meanwhile, on the edge, Ritual, Cold, and Peterbot is the first team safe. Clixie, Yamzo, and Batman Booga, Jacob, have now got themselves situated. It has cost them a lot. Look at their mats.
Yeah, a fight that kind of put a lot at risk, but you're seeing how they're able to get those eliminations. Scare gets tagged up, Veer gets dropped. They're able to get that elimination and immediately try to move towards zone. They clean up Scare
big
on the way there, and you can kind of see the stats. Something I was talking about early. They won 23% of their finals lobbies. Just like Peterbot, though, they have to continue to come online, get back into the form we know they can compete at.
Yeah, they're still very much in this race right now. However, it's never been more difficult. Halfway through the material counts here for Clicks. Pretty tough spot to be in, already going through their chug splashes pretty early here. More Void Oni Mass rotates coming out now. No lines of sights this time, though. This is a clean rotate for them here. One more, and in they are, nice and safe. They're positioned up amongst the juggernauts here. This end game's looking pretty tough so far, but a much better, much more favorable game than the previous one. At least we have a lot of land in place though now.
What is this, like 60% of the lobby, 80% of the lobby, almost 90 outside of the zone now. We continue to move south for the winter. A lot of the teams gonna have to fly through the sky to try to match it. But Poyo, Acorn, and Agers, because of their proactivity early on, they're able to kind of take it step by step by step. For Bolt's Rapid, and I would say Kanata, but he's already down, forced to kind of watch this one on the sidelines, turning into a little bit of a coach trying to figure out what is this rotation, how they're going to make it. They're trying to look towards the zone. There's so many hills, mountains to overcome before they even make it up there and have a straight shot to the zone.
We've seen many of the other teams in this situation. This is the first now. Bolts is going to be left to just duo it out with Rapid now. Cold Ritual and Peterbot finally situated as a full trio nearly in the end game. Can we see them actually cross that threshold? It's been so difficult for them to do. Meanwhile, it feels like Muzz, Japco, and Rise have really figured it out. They're set up perfectly inside the new Storm right now. And look at the maps that they have in a base already situated, just fully aware and under control here. This could be another breakaway game for Japco, Muzz, and Rise if they could just maintain positioning here now. One set of eliminations, and they're going to be taken off to the tracks here. A lot of hurt teams nearby. Still hunting.
Just a lot of pressure they're putting down on the other side of the map. Rapid's now by himself. Bolts gets lost in the mix. At least he's able to look back and see G-Money. He knows 700 above the damage threshold, but that can change in the blink of an eye as he tries to scout out where he's going to position himself. You see the northeast part of that zone stacked as can be, and that's why he's going to board orb his way over the top to where he's trying to be as safe as possible for now. Worry about where it pulls later.
Back on over to Clixie, Obzo, Batman, Booga right now. Not even a quarter material in the reserves here. Very tough spot. This is a team that needs a refresher here. They're seemingly very desperate